Hello, welcome back. I'm Jim Sullivan. We are here with Syke and Ross, and a great set that you just played, that we just heard. And if some of that sounded familiar to you and some of it didn't, well, there's maybe a reason for that. And why don't I throw it to you guys? Why might people have heard some of these songs
So we were
before?
playing more Chiba songs.
More Chiba it is.
There you
yes.
go.
Backstory, I guess, for people, because you guys are out on your own as Syke and Ross, and you were 2/3 of Morchiba for quite a while. Tell us a little bit about how it started and how it got to where it is today.
Well, in the mid-90s, I was making music with my brother, and we met Syke at a party. And we eventually kind of got together to write a song with her, which was called Trigger Hippie, and we recorded that and released it on a small little indie label called China, and it did really well. At the time, there was a musical movement called trip hop that everybody kind of lumped us in with. We didn't really feel like we were a trip hop band at the time, but along with us, there was bands like Portishead and Massive Attack.
Tricky.
Yeah, and Tricky,
too, right.
yeah, and everybody kind of liked it, and we did quite well.
What didn't you like about the term? I'm curious.
I don't know, because we weren't really aware of the other people making music at the time. We just did what we felt was natural.
Right.
And then the press kind of said, oh, you're all lumped together with these other bands.
Got to have a label.
Yeah, but I mean, looking back on it, they're great other bands to be lumped with, so we're, you know, in hindsight, quite happy about that. And then we went on to make 3 or 4 albums together. You know, we toured the world, we kind of went everywhere we possibly could, and we had a great time. And then we had a bit of a break. Syke made some records on her own, solo records. My brother and I made a couple of records without Syke as Morchiba, and then I bumped into Syke again. And we were like,
7 years
later, it's like, let's get together and make a couple of records, and we did.
Was it a party thrown by the same guy?
Yeah, that would have been fun, right? No, it was just on the street. I was like, wow, hello, Syke. And yeah, we went to a restaurant and got drunk and decided to make a record.
As all good art comes from. Right?
Exactly,
right.
Yeah.
Syke, when you left that first time, why did you leave? What was your reasoning at that point?
We weren't really happy. I think all the 3 of us were not very happy people. And it wasn't a fun place to be, so it was suggested that I leave the band, and so I did.
Did the brothers team up on you?
I don't really remember it that way. I remember Paul wanted Syke to leave. I didn't really know what I wanted at the time. We'd been like together on a tour bus for about 10 years straight, and everybody had gone a bit mad. Mm-hmm. So I think just having a break from each other was probably the best thing we could have done at that point.
Absolutely, yeah, it was necessary.
Right. Now, when this came back together, obviously Paul is not involved in this. Was he asked? Are you still on good terms with him?
I'm not really speaking to my brother at the moment. We kind of didn't get on the last Morchiba record. We were pulling in different directions. It's the classic musical differences. So yeah, we kind of got to an impasse where we didn't really want to work together anymore. And Syke and I had been touring for the last sort of 6 or 7 years, and we wanted to make a record that was a bit more organic and live feeling, because, you know, every night when we're playing shows, we kind of felt like we wanted to make a record that was more closely linked to that, as opposed to something that was, you know, very studio based and produced. So for us, it was just a natural progression of what we had already been doing. And my brother's set up a studio in England, and I think he's starting to make music on his own now. Mm-hmm.
It's funny, you and I did an interview back in 1998. I was writing for the Boston Globe. You were 21.
Yeah.
I think you were 25. And I remember we were talking about this. I did ask you the brother question. I said, are you guys like Ray and Dave Davies or Noel and Liam Gallagher? He said, no, we're not. No, we're not.
Yeah,
but
well, eventually we found our inner Gallaghers.
That's good. Syke, what were the music you were doing after you left Morchiba? What style, what kind of thing were you trying to do?
Oh gosh, so I went to Los Angeles and I met with Pat Leonard and Daniel Lanois, and I wanted to. I remember saying to Pat, like, I don't want to sound like Morcheeba. So he's like, well, that's kind of difficult because the voice. But so we tried things in different keys, and I kind of went a little more electronica, I guess. And then rejoined. It was 2009, I think, when I released the second record, and so I've since then continued to do the solo thing along with Morcheeba.
Oh, that's
now.
still ongoing?
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
There's 4 records out at the moment.
I guess, you know, an obvious question, I suppose, would be you guys are sort of rebranding yourself, I guess, in a way, as Sky and Ross, not Morcheeba continued. But you are playing Morcheeba songs. So I guess the question would be, why drop the fairly well-known name Morcheeba to go under your own names?
We felt like it was more representative of who we are and what we're doing. It obviously raises the profile of the fact that it's just Sky and I.
Mm-hmm.
And we couldn't come to an agreement with my brother about the ownership of the name and what we were going to do with it. It was kind of a bit of a mess towards the end there. And so we just felt like there was less kind of baggage if we just, you know, started doing something new. And in a weird way, the freshness of it has given us a new impetus. Amazingly, it's kind of, we're doing better at radio and things like that than we have done for, you know, a lot of time. So it's kind of cool to be a new thing in a way.
Yeah,
there's fresh life.
There's this sort of thing where, right, somebody who may have maybe little familiarity with Morcheeba hears this and goes, oh, this is great, this is new, this is fresh, and I can see, yes.
Yeah, and at the same time, we're kind of slowly winning back Morcheeba's audience to us. You know, we've been touring all around Europe this summer, and everything's been going amazingly well. We've just started this North American tour, and people are really embracing it, you know, and it's very nice. And online, people have been very kind, and the album's just about to come out, and we're hoping that it gets well received.
I was going to ask you that. The tour starts technically before the album
Yeah.
came out. Was that a mistake, or was that planned?
We'd already planned the tour before we got a definitive release date, but these kind of things happen all the time. But the people that come to the shows can get pre-order copies, and we'll even sign them for them. So they can be the first people in North America to hear the
You
record.
mean actual hard copy
Yeah,
CDs? Yes.
yeah.
Yes,
And
CDs
vinyl,
and
in
vinyl.
fact.
And vinyl, of course.
Yeah.
As
that's
long as
right.
they don't upload them.
Yeah. Don't leak it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, the one track that's out for public consumption now is Light of Gold.
That's right,
correct,
yeah.
which is you played today. Gorgeous, gorgeous song. Want to explain a little bit about the impetus for that? I don't know. You're doing lyrics now, right? Pretty much?
Yeah, yeah.
So how
Yeah,
did that come
so,
together?
well, where did the words come from? I mean, usually, like, Ross sends the song over, and then I kind of hum a melody along to it, and then listen to that melody over and over again, and then words just appear. And then I work out what it means afterwards, or I'll let other people make their own interpretation of what the song is about.
And that's often best. I understand
Yeah.
whenever I ask an artist to explain a song, sometimes
Yeah.
it's like, oh God, just you explain it, you know,
Yeah,
and we did
yeah.
it, we're done with it. You know, so
Sometimes a song can have like a focus, and it's like, okay, I want this song to be about,
Yeah.
but more often than not, the lyrics just appear, and the story comes after.
The new record I heard in advance, it's pretty electric in a lot of ways, is it not? I mean, this was a fairly, if I can say, languid
Yes.
kind of set, stripped down set. But the new record's got some real guitar bite, and tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we'd wanted to bring some energy from the actual live band. We wanted the guitars a bit louder, and like Sky's son Jager plays live drums on the record, but there's still kind of the atmosphere of old Morcheeba records. It sounds a bit like Big Calm, where there's kind of like lap steel guitar, and there's the kind of cinematic fluidity to it. We really wanted to keep that moody atmosphere. We wanted it to be deep and dark and beautiful.
I'm not trying to suck up by saying Big Calm is one of my favorite records, not just of you, but of one of my favorite records, period. I love that one.
Yeah, I mean, we know that people really love that record, and I think that we definitely got something very right on that record. And so whenever we try and make music, that is kind of like the center of gravity that around which we kind of rotate.
Right.
When we play live, we still do like 5 songs from that album, you know, which is about the same as the amount of live songs that we play from the new record. So
good,
it's still kind of a very valid musical touching point for us.
Doesn't feel old to you, doesn't feel...
No, it's just, it's not, I guess it was just one of those kind of synchronicity things where everything fell into place.
Right.
And,
I just wanted to take you back to the songwriting for a moment, and not Light of Gold particular, but just anything from the new record. Since you send Sky the music, and then it's up to her, do you guys ever clash on what she comes up with? When you send something and you go, no, I didn't intend that at all, or...
No.
Okay.
There haven't been any clashes at all. It was really easy to work with Ross on this record, and we initially talked about maybe collaborating with other songwriters, but the first song that Ross sent was, well, it became clear in my mind. It was just beautiful guitar finger picking, and I had a long sleepless night. I was heavily pregnant at the time, and then in the morning just wrote the words and sent them back to Ross, and he really liked them, and then we kind of continued from there, just kept writing and thought, actually, we could do this whole record ourselves, so that's how it worked out.
I think there was a couple of songs that just didn't make it, like that we both felt weren't as good as the rest, but there was no point where we clashed creatively. I think it's better to kind of just try and just keep working and find the good things rather than, get into any confrontation about where it's going, because what we wanted to do with this record was just find its inner beauty. We didn't want to force it in any direction or a production style or, think that we were trying to make a radio song or anything like that. We just wanted to express what we felt, and then everything else would fall into place around it, because that's the most important thing about music, is the feeling.
What I like about you guys is the spaciousness in the sound. It's like you don't have to fill every space.
Yeah.
And it leaves the listener that opportunity to kind of drift in.
Yeah.
And be sucked in, be seduced by it, if you will.
Yeah.
I've used that word before with you guys. I mean, it is a very seductive sound. I think once it starts, and then it sort of envelops you.
Yeah.
I don't know how it strikes you when you're playing. I mean, it's your job, so maybe it doesn't strike you as it does the listener.
It doesn't feel like a job.
What's that?
It doesn't feel like a job.
Yeah,
I've worked behind the bar before, in the cloakroom, in the clothes shop, and all sorts. That's a job.
Yes, that would be. Well, I wonder sometimes, how bands feel when they're playing the material. I think sometimes they can be kind of distant from it. We're just playing the notes, and that's what we're doing. And other times they really are right in the emotion of it all. Where do you think you guys fit in that?
It's nice to find like a meditative trance state where you just have like a kind of out of body objective opinion about it. You just you're just doing it, and then you go into like a zone where things just happen.
That's not the tequila.
Yeah.
What was that?
So are you sure that's not the tequila?
It's kind of nice just finding some weird, like, out of space kind of feeling to it. That's how the only way I can express it is that you play until you lose touch with what you're doing. And then you're doing something good because your body kind of just takes over, and you're kind of sitting on the side thinking, this sounds quite nice.
Almost like muscle memory in a weird way.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. And I think the spaciousness is always, our songs are quite slow. I think I've got a really slow heart rate. So it's just,
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, your songs do have sort of the same tempo. Yeah,
and I grew up listening to a lot of Neil Young and people like that who play really kind of
Nick Drake,
laid
I
back.
think, right?
Yeah,
Was
Nick
he one
Drake
of your
as well.
influences?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we like slow songs.
I do too. They've got their place, don't they? I mean, and I like what you carve out with them. You're talking about just getting ready for the show, and you mentioned tequila. Do you have a pre-show ritual? Some bands are this is what we do,
Yeah.
half hour, 20 minutes, 10 minutes on stage. Do you guys have any of that?
Yeah, mine's usually getting the baby to sleep, because I've got a 15-month-old baby number 4, so trying to make sure she's asleep. So I'm really grateful having a late stage time in...
And of course you have one of your babies with you playing percussion.
Yeah, exactly. So he's 20. But then just getting ready, makeup, and a little sip of tequila to warm up the vocals.
Vocal.
It's medicinal.
Yeah, of course.
Your voice is so wonderfully soft and caressing. I mean, do you have a, I don't know, a more growling Chrissy Hynde side to you at all, or is this just
When I'm screaming at the kids.
Mom, we thought you were so.
I do sing like a lot like harder and louder when we perform live, and certainly like there's on the new record there's a song called How to Fly where I belt it out, and I think actually going back to the third record, Fragments of Freedom, we kind of tried different things, and I had to sort of sing a little bit more powerful, and that kind of it really helped to I had to push myself a little more. I much prefer singing quietly.
Yes. I've got to ask, is part of the
both.
process part of the set?
No, we did play it a couple of nights ago. We played on the rooftop in this amazing church in Toronto. We were doing a fundraiser charity gig, and they insisted that we played it. And so we did play it that one time a few days ago. And it's been quite a while since we played that song. So, I mean, if you really want us to play it, we can try and put it back in the set tonight.
Be nice. I do love it, but since you're not playing it, why not?
It's difficult to choose what songs to play. I mean, with More Cheaper, we've got 6 albums that we made together, and we've got a new album. So that's, it's like 80 songs to choose from.
Right.
We try and pick the ones that we know that people want to hear, but we also want to play some songs that are a little bit more obscure that, that we enjoy playing, and we also want to play some of the new songs and turn people onto that.
Well, like you said, you've got 5 songs, new songs in the set, which I think is a good balance.
Yeah.
It sends a signal that you're not just regurgitating what was done years ago.
Yeah.
It's new, it's active, it's vital, and all the rest of it. In terms of darkness and light, because I think you guys bring both of those things to your material quite nicely. I don't know how to talk about it, but I'll just throw it out there. Are those qualities you think about when you're putting things together? The mixture of those?
I've always thought that the place where they meet is the most interesting.
Yeah.
Sky has such a sweet and lovely voice. When she sings about very dark things, it's kind of interesting because it's like, it's like a lullaby about horrific things.
Yes, well put. Yeah.
So the dichotomy there is kind of cool, and the clash of light and dark is definitely the area. If it was a Venn diagram, that's where Mojiba would be, is the clash.
That's good. I like that. That's very good. Well, you are going to play us out with the song you mentioned earlier, Clear in My Mind, which is the very... Well, was that the first song of the album then, when this thing got going?
It's the first song that we wrote, yeah.
First one you wrote, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
and we wrote it really quickly, and we suddenly thought, this is really easy, let's do more of this. But then as we developed the record, we realized that we wanted to make it a little bit more wide-ranging in the sounds, so we've brought in beats and orchestras and different things, and like Moog synthesizers and stuff. But at first, it was really lovely starting with something just very pure and acoustic like that.
Which is what people are going to hear now,
Yes.
actually. I don't see any Moogs or anything around us right now, so I'm pretty sure that'll come that way. Well, look, guys, thank you very much.
Thank you very
Ross,
much.
appreciate
Cheers, Jim.
it. And Sky.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. And this is Boston Rock Talk with Jim Sullivan and now Sky and Ross. One more time.